Wayfinder is a MMORPG that's gone through a lot of controversy since its unofficial launch in August of 2023. From what we know, this game has been in development for at least 3 years, but since its unofficial launch, this game has completely destroyed itself and its potential. This was due to a mixture of lack of content, the devs not being able to keep up with the players. Even I fell into a deep trap of pre-ordering the $150 version of the game to get exclusive items, to be very, very let down. To my surprise, though, the devs are still trying really hard to make the game work by bringing new changes to the game, changes such as fixing bugged quests, adding more content, but most importantly, changing how players interact with the game. So you can no longer have 6 million items in one inventory alone, causing the game to crash. Wayfinder is out now on PC and PS5, so in this video, you'll get to see my first looks of the game, a list of goods, and a list of bads at the end of the video. One of the first traps that the game fell into was on release. It was essentially impossible to play, as you had to wait in almost a 4 to 5 hour long queue. And while in this queue, it was almost impossible to do anything, because if you crashed whatsoever, then you would have to wait in another 4 to 5 hour long queue. With these queue issues and with these crashing issues, it immediately tanked most of their player base from roughly 50,000 players to immediately 20,000 players in almost the first 3 days.
Fine, boys. Holy shit. We're already further along today than we got all yesterday, so I cannot be mad whatsoever. Attack Dragon Cliffs. Alright. So that boy there. This boy here. That boy there. That boy there. Dude, cool. I play Clash of Kings, kind of similar. I have no clue what Clash of Kings is about. Oh, I'm in the game, but I'm also in the middle of a Clash of Clans match. This got really bad real quick. Oh no. After making it out of the queue, you're able to go into a tutorial where you can test 3 different types of characters, and you're going to choose one that you want to start with in the game. First one you can test is Wingrave, a paladin character wielding a sword and shield and with protective skills. The second one is Silo, a gunslinger-like character wielding explosives and a rifle with high AoE damage. Lastly is Nis, an assassin with quick movement wielding dual daggers with high single target DPS skills. I personally chose Wingrave though, as I primarily like to play warrior or tank in most games that I play. The combat in the game changes completely depending on the character you choose and the weapons you use for the character. My personal experience with Wingrave, he is insanely slow compared to other characters, but is also much tankier than other characters as well, allowing you to face tank a lot of the shots. Although it does seem that they made dodging the same speed on all characters. Oh! Oh! Oh my god! We're down! We'll get you up, buddy. Get up. No dying. Get out of that. We gotta destroy the little guys. Okay, go, 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 go. He's weak, he's weak. That's it, boys. We did it! One of my favorite things about combat, though, is the ability to switch out to almost any weapon on any character. This makes it where you can have a lot of unique builds through the use of crafting weapons and buying weapons off the market. While playing through the game, though, you quickly realize how barren most of the areas are in the game. So what they've done is add beautiful background textures to make the world look fuller than it really is. But when you explore areas, they have little to no content besides the occasional world event or mini boss that doesn't even really give anything, forcing the game to feel insanely empty outside of the player hub or huge dungeon. Back for being a MMO, I played the game solo 90% of the time, as it's easier to do dungeons solo. The only time I played with anyone was at the beginning when I was either playing with my friends or towards the end when I wanted to play with my Twitch chat. Yo, what up? You came to die. I'm gonna clear my 80 trees real quick. Yeah, that's like the goal of the year, right? You gotta get on, clear your 80 trees, maybe throw down some upgrades, and then you can like log out for the rest of the year. Cover stolen supplies. Let's get this guy. Nice, we got him. I really like the stuns. I'm trying to use these, I'm trying to use rolls as much as possible, because getting used to rolling early game, I feel like it's going to be really big. Big damage, boys. Alright. Get over here, help this guy out. Kill this guy. Oh, I, like, stopped moving. I was too focused on, like, swinging my sword. That first one was pretty hard. And I don't know if they scale like off of how many people you have or what, but like it was fairly difficult for a starting event. Some like swamp dragon things down here. Some guys to fight.
This leading to one of my biggest gripes in the game being the questing or the lack thereof, as most of the quests in the game lead to absolutely nothing or give absolutely nothing or just don't exist whatsoever. In fact, the only purpose in doing quests is to unlock new zones and boss fights, so eventually you can unlock the dungeon or boss fight you need in order to grind up the gear for your build.
In fact, the only time I was really excited to do a quest was when I got a quest that would lead me to a certain boss that was the only boss in the entire game that I couldn't beat and I ever died to. What up, baby? I'm here to play.
Oh, dude, move.
You won't get through me!
Let's go! I learned from every move, bro. Every fucking move. I learned everything.
After playing Wayfinder for almost 69 hours, these are my pros and cons. Pros: the graphics are insanely clean and I really enjoy them. It reminds me of playing a game like Dungeon Defenders back in the day, and I am a really big fan of those type of graphical art styles. I don't really know what that art style is called, but it is very aesthetically pleasing and doesn't really hurt my eyes after hours of playing the game. The combat, as it's insanely fun and is just like a default combat that you would kind of expect out of a MMO, but at the same time it is very flowy and very easy to understand the combat, as you only have a few skills and those skills are always set towards that certain character that you are playing. The dungeons, as they're very interesting in the game, some of them have some puzzles to do, some of them have just hard bosses to fight, and I think the dungeons is probably the best part about the entire game. Character designs, as in games like this, you really have to make sure that each and every character is very good in their own way. I think that's what Wayfinder does insanely well, is each character you can tell is meant for a purpose, and they fulfill that purpose very, very well. I believe the overall concept of the game is insanely enjoyable. Not only is it basically fantasy Warframe, but the fact of going into dungeons and clearing out like this darkness from the world just makes you constantly feel like a hero, making it overall very enjoyable to play these characters and understand the story more in depth. Cons: the world is insanely empty and feels like it has nothing in it. There's so much that you can see, but there's so little that you can do in the world. When you're exploring, yes, there might be a few bosses you can fight, maybe a few world events, but those world events don't give you anything or do anything for the player. I would actually recommend to the devs that they add something like skins or something like that that you can get from these beginner boss fights, so that way it makes the world feel less empty. And something that makes the world feel insanely empty as well is the lack of players that the game is already down to. After only 5 months of release, the game is only averaging 250 players per day, which is absolutely horrendous for a MMO. And it's getting to such a bad point that honestly, if I was them, I would consider shutting down the servers. Questing is one of the worst things in the entire game, as there's not a lot of quests in the game, but the quests that you do have to take will lead you to higher end dungeons and higher end boss fights, so that way you can continue to grind gear. And I believe that is one of the worst ways to have questing in a game, where the only purpose behind it is because you have to do it in order to get a excess piece of gear. It makes it where the quests aren't really fun to do, and they're just insanely tedious because you have to do that one quest so you can get to that one dungeon, so you can get that one piece of gear for your build. Gear grinding is absolutely terrible for the current state in the game. One of the big things with gear grinding is you have to sit down and grind for hours and hours and hours on end, and there's so many other things you can get inside of the loot pool that it's almost impossible for you to get certain pieces of gear unless you're A, either insanely lucky, or B, you just spend so much time grinding it that obviously you're going to get the piece of gear. With how bad the gear grinding is in the game, I would prefer to go play a game like World of Warcraft, where at least if I'm not getting the gear, then I can at least understand it a little bit. I believe this is a prime example of a game being released before its time, as it seems as if the devs took an extra year of development and did a open beta for testing. The game wouldn't be sitting at 300 player peak after only 5 months of being released. Now, I know many people are thinking, well, the game isn't technically released because it's in early access, therefore it isn't released. But I believe using the term early access is just an excuse for poor development decisions. Overall, I'd say the game was really fun and had insane potential, but at the end of the day, after everything that has happened, I don't believe that there's any way that this game can be revived from what it currently is, even if they fully release the game. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to like and subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about Wayfinder, and also let me know what MMO you guys want to see me review next. Besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed and have a wonderful night, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.